Hello. So I know I had talked about doing a Q&A for a while and never did it, so here we are. The reason I thought it would be a good idea is because people will often include questions when they send me a message, and I thought it might be easier to just have something like this. Across all of the platforms, there were over 200 questions, so I don't know if this might be longer than I would have anticipated, but scrolling through them, I think there also might be a lot of repeats, so we can just skip those if it's already been answered. Okay, Neurofraud wants to know, is there new music coming soon? To which Meredith Lepper kindly replied, he's got at least 2 new ones coming soon, Brick by Brick and Be Fine. Meredith Lepper is correct about that. Sammy the Sleepy, do you have any artists that inspired you to start singing? I don't know about singing particularly. Maybe Ben Folds. There's a song called The Luckiest that I would recommend to anyone. When did you start making music? I think songwriting started happening around 8th grade, I think, and it wasn't very good until I was probably a freshman in college. So started writing a long time ago, but wasn't very good at it until pretty recently. Not saying that I'm, but acceptable at it maybe. What's your songwriting process? Also, how are you doing in quarantine? I don't have a process. I think that I've made my best stuff when I wasn't expecting myself to write a song, if that makes sense. So a lot of the best lyrics I've ever written kind of came to me randomly, just when I was walking around or doing something else. And I think if I had a process and I set an expectation that during this time period I'll write a song, that pressure would ensure that nothing good will be written. So yeah, I try actively not to have a process and never try to write a song or set it up in any way so that it can kind of just come out naturally. But maybe that will change. But so far, yeah, I try to be in front of an instrument as often as possible, and then a tiny percentage of the time I'll just sort of accidentally start something. What have you been using your time on in quarantine? Nothing interesting, I'd say. I've been getting better at skateboarding. I used to be good at it, and it was just a good thing because you need exercise, but I don't. You can do it by yourself. But I think I also talk on the phone with people a lot, and I'm always like, what are you up to? And they're like, nothing, I'm stuck inside. I'm like, oh yeah, me too. So, nothing interesting. Yeah. What's your favorite song you've made, released or unreleased? There's one called Goodbye that is, I think, some of the best. It's probably the best lyrically that I've ever done. That won't come out for a long time. There's another one called Author that is super great, or I think it's great anyway. But of the ones I have released, I would say End on a High is probably the winner for me. If you could collaborate with one other musical artist, who would it be? I don't know. No one really comes to mind. I don't know if I would want to collaborate with anyone. I don't think at this point. I mean, I collaborate with people now, producers and everything. But in terms of if I'm going to put my name on it, I would like to be more or less completely in control of it rather than collaborate. Have you been baking, cooking anything cool while stuck at home? Nothing cool, I would say. Mostly boring. I eat a lot of rice. When this thing first started, I got an amazing amount of rice, and I just would eat plain rice all day, which was about as boring as it sounds. But I've been spicing it up recently, literally putting spices on it. So, anyway. Who are your biggest inspirations? This was gonna be number one, Radiohead, which is um, well, anyway, and then Rufus Wainwright is fantastic, and someone named Chile Gonzalez I think is probably the best writer of melodies that I have encountered, and those are the big three. Will you be putting out Sewing Kit on physical platforms like CD or vinyl? I looked into the vinyl thing, and it's a lot more expensive and a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be. So I would say probably not for a while. We could do CDs. It's a little easier, but I just don't. I would put it at a maybe. I mean, eventually, definitely a vinyl because so many people have requested that, but it's not something for the near future. Tom Wright coming in. You have the ability to make a sandwich with anything in the world. What kind of sandwich do you make? I would probably just get some turkey and cheese. I don't know. Is there new music coming soon? By the way, I'm a big fan of your music. Yes. Okay. Whenever we come across one that I've already answered, I'm just gonna say potato. So, potato. Favorite ice cream flavor? Peanut butter chocolate. How can I start on music? Okay, this is... Oh, okay. And then I responded, tell me what you've done thus far so I can provide an answer that addresses your situation specifically. To which Alex responded, I know the music basis to make a song, theory, writing, very basic production, in Reaper and recording, and I just play guitar and a bit of piano, but I haven't written anything, so... Okay, well, I mean, the first thing I'll say is that whatever, trends, or... Because it's not a process, but it's just... whatever strategies that have worked for me won't necessarily work for you or anyone else. But I would say, I mean, it sounds like you're well past the starting point. When I started making Sewing Kit, I didn't know anything about production. I still don't really know anything about music theory. In terms of making a song, I mean, I would say if you're really stuck, maybe learn how to play some of your favorite songs and then try to analyze them sort of consciously and see if you can find any sort of pattern about what it is that you like. Map out their song structure and maybe try to find trends in their meaning, if that makes sense. Find out what draws you to those songs so that you can kind of integrate it into your own writing in a more conscious way. Again, this is something that I've never done, but I also, whenever I get stuck with writing, I just give up and go do something else. So, but I would say, I mean, the other thing about making music is that it's fine to be, like, bad at it. I assume most of you, if you're commenting, have appreciated some of the stuff that I've made, but there's also so many songs that I wrote before those that were just so bad. And in terms of production, I mean, I was just terrible at it. Everything I made sounded like garbage. When I first started sending, the music to my friend Kyle, who mixed Sewing Kit, he was just like, I can't work with this. This is recorded so poorly. Like, it's just, whatever. So I would say, like, if you really like it and you like doing it, but you're bad at it, it's really no big deal. So just, set a goal for yourself. You say, I want to make a full song. I want to write a full song. I want to record it. And that'll be it. Get all the way to that point. If it sucks, then you just throw it away and start again. And each time you'll get better. So just try to take your eye off the prize, if that makes sense. So instead of worrying about some larger thing where, larger dreams or whatever, just see if you can focus on exactly what's in front of you. If you say you have a song that has a good verse but no chorus, just worry about that. You don't need to worry about recording or anything else. Take baby steps that are so tiny that an actual baby would be like, that is so small. And then it kind of takes the pressure off. What does the green circle mean? Nothing, actually. So in terms of the thing I said where I was like talking about not trying to do things like not consciously at all, that was a big example of that, where I just was on this MS Paint type thing and then put a black background on and then dragged a green circle, and then I was just like, this is perfect. I love it. Um, it doesn't mean anything, but it feels perfect for that album. Whenever I look at it, I'm like, this is, this is exactly what it should have been. But it's not. It's totally a subconscious thing, which I think is always the best. When I look at a painting or something, I've never been like, oh, what does it mean? It's just when you look at it, you feel something or you don't. And if you feel the right thing, then it's good art. And if you don't feel anything, then, maybe it isn't. So green circle means nothing particular, But at the same time, like, there are so many beautiful things that don't mean anything. They're just beautiful. You know. Anyway, what Hogwarts house are you? I'd like to be a Ravenclaw. I've never taken one of those tests. But I just feel like first choice would be Slytherin because of that color scheme. But they, especially in the last book, you find out they're like really bad people. A lot of them. And then Hufflepuff's like, come on. And then Gryffindor, I just feel like they're kind of tools sometimes, They're just doing a lot. And they're doing good stuff. But the Ravenclaws are just like, smart, respectable, doing their own thing. So, introduce your girlfriend to us. I don't think, I don't think that that's a good thing to do. That's just a separate part of my life. It doesn't, How are you doing at the moment? Pretty well, I think. I mean, making this video is a little bit awkward, I'll tell you that much, but I think it'll get easier as I continue to do things like this. So right now, in this exact moment, I'm doing all right. In general, right now, I'm also doing all right. I think, I had to tighten up some of my, I guess, health regimens because I knew I would be stuck inside for a long time, which isn't the best for mental health, but the systems have been working and doing better than I thought I would be doing. If this phase of your life was an album, then what would it be called? It would be called, well, that went better than expected. The album. And it would be a good album. What is your favorite chord? It's gonna be F sharp major 7. I love those because like the major 7 chords, because you get a major and a minor in there. So with that, it's the it's the B flat minor and the F sharp together to create that sense of sort of beautiful sadness. What's your creative process like? Potato. What is your favorite song while you are having a bad day and you really want to cry? If I really want to cry, then I might just listen to my own music, honestly. Like Levers, even if I don't want to cry at all, if I play that song, I don't know, like if anyone who's watching this tuned into the live stream, I couldn't get through it. And it's just because it's just so, like, being who I am now, being like stable and relatively at peace, and then thinking about the person I was when I wrote that type of stuff and felt that type of stuff, I just feel so bad for him. Like, he was just getting absolutely wrecked. I saw a picture of myself from like the year before I had that big depressive episode and got diagnosed, and I almost started crying. So I was like, this poor kid is about to have his life just completely destroyed. He has no idea. I was like smiling in the picture, like doing well, and little did that previous version of myself know that shit was about to hit the fan. And it's just, yeah, I feel bad for that version of me who had to do that. It was so awful. So, anyway. Favorite lyric, is at the end at the end of End on a High, it says, "Could you make it so no one cries?" And I think that was really the whole point of Sewing Kit. I mean, there was a lot of love and stuff in there as well, but I think the main thing that I was feeling the whole time was like, is there any way for me to stop existing without hurting anyone? And thankfully the answer was no, which is why I'm still here. But that thing, like, can you make it so no one cries, was just like, is there any way that I could exit this existence without, causing pain and spreading this pain to other people in my life, which again wasn't possible. But that was like, one of the core desires, I guess. How do you write lyrics? Like, I really try but can't find any. Don't try, but also potato on this one. What was the hardest song on Sewing Kit for you to make? That's gonna be Levers. When I had the moment when I wrote all the lyrics, it was similar to the Goodbye thing, where I read them and I was like, okay, this is some of the best writing that I'll ever do. And so I was like, I need to be really careful and make sure that the way that I record this and produce it doesn't get in the way of what these words are saying. And I think I was successful with that. But it was just difficult. I felt like the pressure was high. Those were the best lyrics I had ever written at that point. Maybe they're the best now as well, so I just didn't want to screw it up. What's your favorite condiment? Man, I don't know what it's called. It's this amazing kind of like chili. It's an Asian thing I got. I don't know. I'll put the title of it in the description. It's like sriracha's cousin, but it's better. It's just got this. I don't know. I'll put it in there. You have a lot of listeners all over the world. What do you want to say to them? When some of these are worded interestingly, so I'm just gonna assume what they mean. You have a lot of listeners all over the world. What would you want to say to them if they could all hear you? I'd just first be like, hey, thanks for listening to my stuff, and it's exciting to think that I put out this album and people responded to that. So yeah, thank you. And then I would also say that I mean, not everyone, but I think significant percentage of the messages I get include people's stories of their struggles with depression. And I would just say to them that, like, when you listen to the level of hopelessness on some of those songs, and if you relate to that, just try to remember that I was completely convinced that my life, as I had known it, was over and I would never be happy again. And I was convinced of that, more than I've ever been convinced of anything else in my life. And I was completely wrong. So you can be certain in amazing ways that things aren't going to work out for you, and be incorrect. So that's what I would say. This is interesting. In some of the new music, there's this concept of a no turning into a maybe, meaning like, is your future going to be, is life going to be worth living? And it used to be a no, and people would try to get it to be a yes. But I found that I wasn't able to get it to a yes, but I could get it to a maybe, if that makes sense. So just kind of saying, I don't know what's going to happen, rather than, oh no, it's going to be great or it's going to be bad. That's what I would want to say to them. And that's what I usually do, say to them. That gang. Let's see. Where did this go? A lot of listeners. Okay. How are you introduced into music? I'm going to say potato. How y'all are you? Well, I got a son named Tucker, and he plays on a football team. He's second string, but he plays. And I'd say on a scale of 1 to y'all, I'd put myself at a yeehaw. I mean, look, I got 2 trucks, alright, American made. And I like football, and like sometimes, I just like tear up because I realize that America is the greatest country in the world, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. That's how y'all I am, all right now. No, I'm assuming that you meant how tall are you? And I'm coming up on 6'2", so pretty tall, which is good for basketball. How did you start musically? Potato. How old were you when you started playing instruments? Potato. What has been your greatest achievement so far? Greetings from Peru. Greetings from California. That one boxing guy. I would say it is sewing kit. I put so many hours into that. I mean, I wish I would have tracked it, but it's gonna be like well over 500, and it's only like whatever 41 minutes and 28 seconds, I think. And so that amount of effort to create such a small thing relative, to the amount of time put into it, I just don't even think that a lot of people have something like that at my age. This one thing where they're like, this is, even if it's bad, I really gave it my all. So that's really special. Do you ever feel trapped in a state of uncreativity? How do you overcome this? Kind of a potato, but I'll just say that I just quit. I just don't ever try to force it. If it's not there, it's not there. I'll go do something else. What's the one thing you want people to know about you before you die? Like, how do you want to be remembered? How do I want to be remembered? Hold on one second. I want to be remembered as someone whose computer didn't die during this thing. I don't know. I think I don't plan on dying very soon anymore, so I got a whole life to live, and I don't think I would plan something like that. I mean, if I would say that, like, sometimes whenever someone dies at the funeral, they sort of have to embellish what a good person they were. So I would want there to be nice things said about me at my funeral, but like no one would have to lie, or not lie, but you know what I mean. Maybe that's a strange thing to say. And someone who was helpful to other people and all that normal stuff. Top 5 songs to listen to during quarantine. I've been keeping like the trying to keep the vibes up, as they say. Listening to kind of a lot of more classic dancing music. That's a little happier. Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by Looking Glass has been fun. Let's Stay Together by Al Green. SOS, ABBA, What's Going On, Marvin Gaye. What else has been? Just stuff like that, stuff you put it on and you just, can't really help it. You just gotta get the shoulders involved. Can we make a song together? I don't know. I can help you with, no, I shouldn't say that I'm in a position where I can be that helpful, definitely, but, I mean, you can send me stuff if you want. I'll give you my thoughts on it, or if it's perfect, then maybe we will make a song together. Were you afraid of putting your music out, Amanda Kell? Yeah, hugely. The obvious one, because, I put a lot of time into it, and then if I put it out and no one liked it, that would be pretty rough. There was something I saw the other day where it was this collection of songs on Spotify that have 0 streams. So literally no one has ever listened to them. So that was my biggest fear. The second one, which was probably bigger than, well, I don't know. But I would say that, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on right now about like mental health stigma and breaking stigmas and all that type of stuff. And it is, I guess it's working, especially among young people, but also like, how do I say this? The sort of things that I was saying on that album were sometimes very dark and very personal, and so a lot of people, to whom I never would have told those things then knew about them by listening to it. And so, yeah, I mean, my whole inner life was just on display, and it was pretty dark. So that's pretty scary. Looking back on it, actually, yeah, I don't know. Like people in my life, not necessarily my friends, but like, maybe like friend. I don't know. It's just like I wouldn't. There's so many people who I never would have told about those issues who knew about them, and whatever. Yeah, I was afraid of a lot of things. It's difficult to put yourself on the line like that. Really put it all out there, because also people don't usually tell you when they're really not doing well. I mean, I do now, but like, as I said, like, I've been calling people and I'm like, how you doing? They're like, really great. And then talk for whatever, 15-20 minutes. They're like, well, actually, I'm doing really poorly. And that's just one of those things. So, okay, anyway. What's your favorite band from the 70s? ABBA, no question. Is it harder to write music when your mood is happier compared to more sad feelings? Okay, so I would first want to separate sadness from depression. So if I am in an episode, I can't write anything. Wait, so you're asking? Okay. Do I write music when your mood is happier compared to sad? Okay, so sad, I don't really write music about, even if it's like sad music, it's not about sadness. It's not about like breaking up. It's about, you know, this mental, whatever, depression, right? So that's separate from the sad that normal people like break up sad or whatever. So I don't write any music when I'm in that state. I can only write after, and then reflect back when I'm reflecting back on it. So I would say I'm not sure if I'm interpreting this correctly, but I only write music when I'm stable, I would say, which is pretty often now, which is great. But in the old days, when I would have bigger episodes, didn't write anything, which I guess would maybe be what you mean by sad feelings, those times of sad feelings. Are Hand Over Hand and Happy Life inspired by the same person? Yes. Favorite artist, Radiohead. Biggest inspiration, Potato. Who is your favorite sibling? Jack, my dog. Where is your Tiny Desk concert? Says Bethany Wingenfeld. And Patrick the Murphy says this. I would ask NPR. Or you can send me a desk. I'll make a video with it. What's your middle name? It's Roland, actually. That's where I got that. I want you to be famous, but at the same time, I want to keep you like a secret. Well, I want to be famous, but I want to keep you a secret. I'll tell you this. In order to be, well, that doesn't matter. You just, I don't, if I keep putting out music that's good. Okay, when I put out Sewing Kit, I had no fans. And no one that liked, you know what I mean? I had nothing. And so now, all this time later, I have some fans. So if I keep putting out music that is good, then hopefully that will grow organically. And I don't know if I'll ever be like famous, but I would, I think, naturally hope to get to a point where I'm known enough that I could go, say, on tour, and play for enough people that I would be able to sustain that financially, I guess. But I would just ask that you're like, even if I get famous, the music's gonna stay legit. So if I, am no longer like this small unknown artist to you, and that, I have to sacrifice some charm, that just is what it is. So I'm not sure what to say about that. What would you name your ship if you owned one? Asks Ordinary Rose. And honestly, the question, maybe the answer, sort of. I think Ordinary Rose would really be an exceptional boat name. So that's on the list. What inspired you to make How to Reappear? Nothing. Wait, what is this thing bouncing on? Oh, okay. Hold the phone. We're back. Okay. What inspired you to make How to Reappear? Same stuff that inspired the rest of the album, I'd say. The one thing about that song that I'll share, I don't know if people got this or not, but the two verses are sort of like these opposite prayers, which is kind of cool. So the first one is like, Mother Love, are you near? Which is a prayer to God, basically. Are there words to be spoken so that I could reappear? Meaning, like, is there some prayer or thing, whatever, prayer, basically, that would bring me back from this hateful state. And then the second verse is a prayer to, like, the devil. Like, Father, sin, are you near? Are there words that could be spoken so that I could reappear? Or, is there something that you can do with that? I don't necessarily I don't believe in those two things. But I do, it was supposed to just be like, I'm at this point where I would happily make a deal with the devil if it meant that I wouldn't feel this way anymore. So that's cool. There's a Radiohead song called How to Disappear Completely that has a lot of themes of depression, and I think, it's a good description. So How to Reappear Completely was kind of like, I really don't want to do this anymore, so if there's some way that I could, reappear and come back and, live a stable, happy life, I would very much appreciate that, and I'll pray to whoever I need to in order to make that happen. I cannot feel my faith. There was a fan mail opportunity. I don't know what that means. Like an address, like a P.O. box, maybe. One day I'll have a P.O. box. I'm not giving my address out, but one day. For now, email me. Barfold, Reed, what a guy, says, why are you so damn cute? Plastic surgery, so much of it. Every month I go in, they just tune it up, and that's how I got here. Ryan Linville, Sinful Linville, says, how many cell phones do you have, and how many need to charge? I have 2 phones, one need to charge, obviously. Is there a symbolic meaning of the green ring? Potato. Is the album still dropping at the end of April? No, maybe next April. There's stuff coming, though, trust me. Can we hear about some of your favorite music? I mean, yeah, I would say hear about it. What can I say about it? I think that, okay. Hearing Radiohead, like the good stuff, from my friend James when I was a sophomore, was the first time. So I was writing my own songs, and I thought that they were great. And so if I wanted to listen to music, I would just play myself my own songs. That was how I got, my fix of music or whatever. So I was kind of in my own world for a while, where I didn't show anyone these songs. I liked them. And then when I heard, when we listened to In Rainbows, and I was just like, this is so much better than what I'm doing, and not in an arrogant way. That was the first time that it happened where I heard something and I was just like, so not ashamed of what I was up to, but just felt so humbled and put in my place, where I was just like, because I thought, my song, they were just for me, but they were perfect for my taste because I was making them. But then, oh my gosh, I mean, so good. So that is something. Imperials or Stormcloaks. I'm not sure what that means, but I would say Stormcloaks. What's your favorite instrument? What's your favorite instrument you know how to play? Piano. Why Roland Font? That's a really long story. It's like also boring, but no. Yes. Well, I mean, come on. Okay. Here's what it is. Roland is my middle name. And so people have called me Roland my whole life, so it's basically just my name. And then, wait, let me take note of where I am. I was thinking about like how like what trends there might be among the names of successful musicians and entertainers. And I realized that there's often a real word involved, meaning like an actual noun, adjective or verb, rather than something like Flanagan, which is just a name. I'll pull up my list that I have here. There are a lot on here, too many to read, but so Taylor Swift, you see what I mean? Like, it's not, Swift is a name for her, but also an adjective. So Taylor Swift, Harry Styles, John Mayer, Father John Misty, Britney Spears, Mariah Carey, Benjamin Clementine, Cotton Jones, Neil Young, Robert Plant, Lupe Fiasco, Chili Gonzalez, Andrew Bird. You see what I mean? Like, that's what I was talking about. So then I wanted to find something that was sort of emotionally neutral, and I thought font was a good thing, like FONT, because it's just like what kind of associations do you have with font? Maybe like writing a paper or something, but it's very harmless and sort of meaningless to most people, I would say. So then I was like, okay, that works. And then I decided to switch up the spelling, and it totally backfired because then everybody thought it was Fonte. And so basically I had a great plan that didn't work at all. But I love it. I think it's a great name. Someone messaged me the other day, and they were like, why Roland Font? Like, I know that's not your real name. And I was like, okay, well, kind of is my real name, but how did you know? Why do you think that? And he was like, it matches your music too well. Like, it wouldn't be, there's no way that it would be a coincidence that would be your name and this is what your music would sound like. So I thought that was cool. Anyway, will your music in the future be similar to what you currently have released or something else? I mean, it's all coming from the same place, but I'm a pretty different person than I was. I mean, I still have episodes and stuff, but I don't think they're ever going to be as bad as the one that that inspired Sewing Kit, because that's when it was all brand new. Like, I had never felt like that year and a half period that eventually led to the diagnosis and all that stuff. Like, I thought I was like a really normal, happy kid, and then I just got slammed by this stuff, and I had no experiences with those emotions, and it takes a while. It's like you're going along in life, and then you just enter this boxing ring, and there's this giant monster that just beats the fuck out of you. That's what depression kind of felt like. You're like, whoa, why am I in this boxing ring? And it turns out you can't, like, leave the boxing ring, and then this thing's just beating you up. But eventually, naturally, you get a little bit better at fighting back, and that was 2016. It's now 2020, so I got my chops a little bit. I know how it works a little more. I can see it coming, and so I just don't think I'll ever be that depressed again. Also, I take medicines that are very effective, and you pick up strategies and tips as you go along. But that also, the one thing that sometimes depression tries to convince you of is that it's going to last forever, that you'll never be happy again. I remember when I was getting admitted, the nurse was asking me how I felt, and I was like, I'm never going to be happy again. And she was like, yeah, okay. And I was like, no, I'm not kidding. Like, that's legit. I know that for a fact. And that's another example. Like, I did know that for a fact, and it wasn't true. Tricky disease it is. I'm off on a tangent. I'm rambling on this. So, no, because that was so bad and I don't ever want to go back there. Also, because I was so bad at recording and producing music that it's impossible for me to know what I know and also do it so improperly again. Like, the way I was recording things and, just the whole thing was, I was doing things all in the wrong way, but not like doing things the hard way, but not like the respectable hard way, just like the stupid hard way because you don't know what you're doing. So that, a lot of combinations of of things that will never happen again came together to create that album. But that's a special moment, and I wouldn't want to like fake it and try to recreate that. I already did it, and I think I did it well, and if I tried to make more stuff like that, it would be dishonest. But I still, I have fundamentally like the same tastes and the same abilities. So I think that if you liked it, there's plenty of more stuff that you'll like as well. But it's similar, but it's not. I'm not gonna make like Sewing Kit Part 2. There are a lot of songs that I wrote in that time period that I'll release eventually, but I don't think I'll make stuff exactly like that ever again. But the new stuff is good. I mean, I think it's great. And there's so much of it. I already have like so much good material written. I think it's good. So there's got to be something in there that you'll love. What time is it? It's 3:04. Are you enrolled in a college, or is music your full-time job? I graduated college in 2018, so I now just do music. I worked a sales job after college, which was awful. But, anyway. What's your favorite genre? Favorite bands? Potato? Any artist specifically influenced? Potato. Favorite color in the universe? Yes, the universe. You can make up a name and describe what the color looks like. Julia? Interesting question. I would say font green. If I had to make it up, that would be it. Are you struggling a lot more with your mental health while in quarantine? Really not as much as I would have thought. Like if someone was like, you're gonna have to stay in this apartment and you can only leave when it's absolutely necessary, I would be like, fuck, this is gonna be, it's gonna be a battle. But it really hasn't been. I mean, a little bit, but I set up some good systems, I think, and good regiments going into it. That's you get better at it. You can identify a situation that probably would lead to some sort of manifestation of the disorder, and then you game plan on it, and then it's not as bad as it would have been. So, yeah. Are you okay? Yeah. Green circle. Why the green circle? Potato. Who inspired you to create that sad lyrics in your song? I mean, I did. They're all about my own life. When will a new album singles come out soon? Dumb question, but how do you pronounce your last name? Reese Fleming Music coming in saying font, and Reese Fleming Music is correct. Where do you live? Los Angeles. Patrick the Murphy, first off, thank you so much. You've been able to put... Oh, this is a long one. Okay. First off, thank you so much. You've been able to put into words the thoughts and feelings in my head that have been stuck in there for months, if not years. So my question is, how? How are you able to do it? I've tried writing my thoughts and feelings down, but I can't seem to get them quite right. I like to say I'm mentally constipated because there's this lake of thoughts and feelings, but nothing is coming out. It's all dammed up. Anything is appreciated. Also, my best friend and I absolutely love your music. I would call her out, but shrug emoji. Well, how did I do it? I don't know. That's the thing. I have no idea how it works. I really don't. Like, I try to play instruments. I have, racing thoughts and a lot of anxiety, as a lot of people do. And for some reason, playing an instrument, even really playing nothing, like just playing the same thing over and over again, calms me down. So I play instruments all the time. And when I do that, I kind of just tune out and just kind of... whatever, and every now and then I like stumble across something that is good, and then I can sort of pursue that. I get come across it, and then I'll play something that sparks something. It's like a door. I just found this door, and this thing that I wrote, this initial little melody, gives me access to all this stuff that's behind there, so I just have to follow it down. But finding the initial door up front is not something that I don't think you can plan, but at the same time, that's just the way I do it, so I'm not sure if that'll work. I like this metaphor that you've got here, this idea that there's a lake of emotions and it's all, dammed up and you just want to get it out so badly, but you can't. Like that could be a good song. You could write about not the metaphor is there. Tell me about this lake, that can't be described because, you can't, by the I guess, you can only break that dam with a certain creative current, and you can't find it, and you're very frustrated, and like, you just talk about that. You can write a song about anything, and again, it can be really bad. You write a song, it's terrible. It doesn't matter. You don't have to show it to anyone. What was the inspo for Happy Life? The song can describe itself better to you than I could now. Yeah. But basically just, being in love with someone and also going through different mood episodes. So the beginning one is kind of like a hypomanic thing where it's like all these really beautiful descriptions, death, pain, and loneliness. Death of pain and loneliness and stuff like that. And then the second part is just like a little more down to earth, like I can be there, whatever. I guess that's kind of the line of the song. Great line. And then the last one is kind of more of a depressing thing, like what would you say? Like broken boy with dreams of things he can't enjoy, speaking words he won't fulfill, and promise. It's kind of like, oh shit, maybe this isn't gonna work. But that's why I think that final line where, a lot of people die and never find this is nice, because it's like, yeah, okay, so maybe this won't work or something like that, or maybe we don't really know what's gonna happen, but at least it happened at all, because some people kind of die without ever finding anything that's this beautiful. So I'm happy that it even existed at all. How old are you? 23. What are some things that you started to do because of quarantine? Getting back into skateboarding. Favorite album of all time is In Rainbows. Who's your biggest inspiration? Potato. Lyrics or music first? Music. What's it like having people that love the music you create? Is this what you wanted to do when you were younger? What's it like having people like the music? I would say that it obviously is incredibly magical and makes me feel like I have a purpose in life and that I am a legitimately useful person, that I have the capacity to make things that people enjoy. Gives me a sense of, it's not like self-esteem, but I just think that I just for a while felt really useless, and that I didn't really have anything to offer anyone. And then when people responded positively to the music, I was like, okay, I'm maybe kind of good at something. And yeah, so it's nice. I mean, it just is a good. So anytime I feel, like I suck or whatever, I can kind of be like, yeah, well, I got this one thing I'm kind of good at. So, is this what you wanted to do when you were younger? Basically, but I will tell you this, and this is interesting. I think maybe. So I think when you're young and you're in high school, anything is possible because you haven't really gotten out into the real world yet. So you could be like, oh, I'm going to be like, whatever, an astronaut. It's like, maybe. Once you get to like 26 or 27, which I'm not at yet, and you're not an astronaut, you can know that you're not going to be an astronaut, more or less. So I think when I was young, everybody, you like play an instrument, you close your eyes and you imagine like a big, stadium of people, and it's that amazing thing. And so I would have those, sort of daydreams and stuff. But I think then, so I had that dream coming, and then when all of this badness hit, I didn't have any dreams at all. And I thought that I was a fool for thinking that I ever could make it in music. And I remember looking at after I got diagnosed, I was looking at the demographics for people with bipolar disorder, and like the unemployment is so high, like 90% of marriages fail. It's just a horrid set of things that I didn't think I was a part of that I now was. I was like, you thought you could be a musician? Like, you're not even going to be able to have a normal job, let alone something as special as that, And I also was, for the first time in my life, unable to write. So those two things kind of comboed, and the dream was dead. And then when I started getting better, the dream came back, but it was like a little more down to earth. And I was like, okay, if you want to do this, then be serious about it. You're gonna have to finish up some music and release it, and you're gonna have to, it's a really difficult thing to get off the ground. To even get people who know you really well to listen to your music is incredibly difficult. Like, I put out this album, and people that I know, like my friends, I was like, "What do you think?" And they're like, yeah, I haven't really gotten around to listening to it yet. I'm like, dude, this is like, you do this. So anyway, just the dream, trying to bring the dream into a more practical realm, and recognize how difficult it is to accomplish anything in music. So it is what I wanted to do when I was younger, but I don't think that what I thought would happen when I was younger is real at all. Do you like K-pop? I don't listen to K-pop. I think it's a funny concept. I think there's a Netflix thing, like K-pop Explained, which is pretty funny because, well, some of it isn't funny. The one thing that was sort of sad about it was that they'll find these kids when they're like 5 or 6 and just train them to be these, K-pop people. They call them idols or something, and that's just it's kind of heartbreaking. But that aside, I also don't think the music's very good. But one of the things that I respect about it is that, like, it is so unapologetically fake. And, like, sometimes I hear, like, American pop stars talking about, like, oh, like, what this song means to me or something. Like, so there's this thing where, like, pop stars, like, I don't know how to describe it, but K-pop is just like, yeah, this is just overstimulation. Like, the music videos are crazy colors, just like they have these, this collection of the idols that are so, like, their personalities are so scripted so that each different type of person is going to fall. They each kind of get their own personal cult. It's so fake, but they're not, like, pretending it's real. They'll tell you that up front, which I respect, I guess. Do you have a clue why Hand Over Hand is your most popular song, the one people like most? I don't. I will say, though, I was looking at my Spotify the other day, and obviously I did want to rank the album, like, the key that Hand Over Hand ends in is what Happy Life starts in, and that's true for Lake and Levers, and then Lilies and End on a High. So that was part of it, but also, like, I tried to rank them in how popular I thought they were going to be, and I almost nailed it. Like, I think right now it goes Hand Over Hand, Happy Life, Lake, maybe End on a High is above Levers, but it's like, whatever. And then, wait, what was this question? Oh, yeah, Hand Over Hand, why is it popular? I think it's because there are so many different parts that are good. Like, in Happy Life, there are basically 2 melodies. There's the key-changing melody, and then the da-na-na. No, wait, no, that's incorrect. Well, scratch that example. In certain songs, there's a verse melody and a chorus melody, and those are the 2 ones that you get. And so if you like one of those 2, you like the song. But in Hand Over Hand, there are so many distinct parts with so many distinct melodies. There are a lot more options for people to like that one particular thing and then listen to the song so they can get the satisfaction of just that one moment. So there's just a lot of options for things you might like. It's a great song, though, and I put some time into that one. Okay, what's up? Do you watch anime? No. I watched One Punch Man, but there's just something about that genre that just seems silly. Who would you most likely to collab with? Potato, baby. Oh, long one. Here we go. Cross the legs. Let's dive in. Okay, Exadika. If a person is in solitude, is solely in it by consuming the various forms of art, is it really in the end a justice to being in solitude? Okay, so I don't know what that means, so I responded, I like where this is going, but I'm going to need a bit of clarification. So, then the response to that was, like you say, you are in solitude, want to learn to be with yourself, but the only thing keeping you away from others is your consumption of art, be it music, movies, etc. You are alone, but with art keeping you company. Okay, I'm going to read this a little faster. There's little to no introspection or even production of art in this period, only consumption, which we often see nowadays. People who think they can be alone with themselves, but in reality it is solely driven by their consumption, and maybe these people convince themselves that they have solitude, or maybe not. Is it a justice to solitude, a consumption-based solitude? I don't know if it makes sense. I tried to explain it as best as I could. Okay, so the first thing is the line between art and entertainment. So if you're mostly consuming entertainment with little artistic value, like most TV shows or whatever, you're just distracting yourself, which is fine, unless you do it all the time, in which case it can be unhealthy. But I don't know, But if you're actually consuming art, like really good art, then, okay, I would say that whenever I interact with a piece of art that I think is really good, I am seeing something come from someone else that is also in my subconscious, right? So someone had some stuff deep down, and they pulled it out, and they made art out of it. And then when I see that, I'm like, no way, that's how I feel. And that is hugely useful, I think, and can teach you a lot about yourself and what's going on inside you, especially if you come across a piece of art and it describes how you feel better than you could. Then you're like, oh, that's great. I actually know myself even better. I couldn't find the words for that, but that is exactly what I was thinking, or not even thinking, what I was feeling. And so in that way, you can learn about yourself, and I think that would be the only benefit of solitude, like real solitude and real introspection. Is that enough? Real solitude and real introspection are hugely useful things, but it kind of seems like you're leaning more towards, you say, be it music, movies, etc. I just don't know if, I should have asked you whether or not you meant art or entertainment. If you're really interacting with art in a legitimate way, you'll naturally be introspective, which cancels out this other thing you said, that there's little to no introspection or even production, only consumption. But consuming art is in itself a form of introspection, because you're seeing your emotions outside of you, and you can't help but analyze them as they come back in. But if you're just watching, if you're just entertaining yourself, then that doesn't really count as anything useful. But I don't know what you mean, a justice to being in solitude. I don't know what a justice to it. I mean, being alone can be very useful, or it can be very lonely, depending on what you're doing with it. It's, if you're out socializing all the time, then you never really have to just deal with yourself. And then it's very difficult to grow, because you don't know intimately the system that you're trying to work on, which is you. Because you're always looking out. So you introspect, you're like, all right, who is this person? What do I want them to be, and all this stuff. So I don't think I answered your question. Those are my thoughts on it, but I would say that if you're just entertaining yourself, then you're not doing justice to solitude, and it's not useful. Favorite fruit? It's gotta be strawberries. Do you have plants? Sure do. Do you like cheese? Sure do. Do you have a childhood memory that has inspired a song? Not that I can think of. What's your biggest motivation for your music? Emotional release. I think it's similar to, it's not even emotional release, though. It's just that there's some urge to communicate certain things. And it comes in all forms. Like, if you're, sitting at a dinner table and someone tells a story, and you have a story that's similar to that story, you get this thing like, oh, I'm going to share this now. This is going to be great. I don't know why. Probably some evolutionary psychology, a little bit of social science, whatever it is. But sometimes you just have an urge to say something. And that's very similar with art, except the things that you're saying are sometimes a lot more complex than things you might say at a dinner table. So it takes a long time, and you need to, practice a lot in, playing instruments and singing and all that stuff in order to be able to effectively communicate it. But I think, with my stuff, with the depression stuff, it's like I had this thing that was going on, and I was me. And so usually when people are in pain, they scream or something. So you break your leg and you cry out, and that's whatever, because you want help and you deserve help. I don't know if you deserve it. I don't know what that means, but it's human to help out people who are hurting. So, but I would talk to people and I'd be like, well, I'm depressed. And they'd be like, oh, that sucks. I'd be like, no, it doesn't just suck. It's like I'm completely drowning here. So I felt this continued like inability to communicate because there aren't really words for it. Like if you haven't, even if you told me at a younger stage when I hadn't been depressed that you were depressed, I would be like, oh, that sucks. You're just really sad all the time. So I think making the art that's the best way that I could really effectively communicate what it was that I was trying to say. Far better than I could if I just was using regular language, with the addition of the music in conjunction with the lyrics rather than just like talking about it. You have so much more space and opportunity to include emotional detail. So that's why I made it. And that's why a lot of people make art. Or try to anyway, or do, there's like art therapy because sometimes you try to tell someone something and it doesn't come across and then they're like, well, draw me a picture of it. And they're like, oh, okay. So that's just a different form of communication. And art is specific sometimes to emotional communication. So that was my biggest motivation. How long did it take to create your album? Between 2.5 and 3 years. If you had to choose your favorite song, end on a high, what is a weird food combination? I don't know. I think I eat pretty normal food. What's that thing that Vanessa used to make fun of me for eating? I don't know. What is your opinion on people making covers of your songs? I love it. Well, with credit. There was that one dude who didn't give me credit. That I was really not happy about that. But favorite musicians and genre? That's a potato. Any other merch planned? Yes. What was the moment when you first decided you wanted to make music? I don't think there was a single moment. It's like someone's playing soccer. Like, when did you decide to play soccer? I don't know. Like, first time I saw a soccer ball? I don't know. I don't know if there was a specific moment. I appreciate that question, but I don't think that there was a single moment. Can you play any other instruments? I don't even know which ones you think I can play. No, I don't know. Just piano, guitar are things I'm actually good at, and then I can play the bass, and I can kind of play the drums. But I usually program the drums. Can you go on tour in Germany? That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Probably someday. Who inspires your music? The Potatoes. What is the lesson or the takeaway, more or less, from the story that Sewing Kit tells? I'll just reiterate the thing that I was saying before, that like that album is really dark and really hopeless. And I'm doing a lot better now. So you can listen to it, and if you relate to it, and you feel those things that, I know there's warmth, but I can't find it. A lot of that stuff from Levers, really. There are some great lines in there. And you feel that sense of hopelessness and that urge to disappear from life. I can just say that I know exactly what that's like. And I felt just as hopeless, but I was incorrect. And there was actually a lot of life left for me once I got the help I needed. And so, that's the lesson. It can be that bad and then get this good, which isn't great, but I'm pretty happy. What is your songwriting process? Just eat the potato. What is the meaning of a green circle on your album cover? Potato. Explain the inspo for a happy life. Potato. What's your favorite song of yours? Oh, potato. What was your dream job as a kid? Technically, potato. I don't have a question, but I love you. You never even met me, but I love you too. What artist inspired you to create this unique we got a long one. What artist inspired you to create this unique, somehow soul-touching singing style of yours? I am really curious because your music speaks directly to people's hearts. That's very nice of you to say. It has that something that makes it special and sincere and hurt, and somehow beautiful in its own painful way. There's something out there in it I can't explain. It's really special. It's art. Love it. Thank you. That is very, very, very kind and exciting. What artists? Unfortunately, that's gonna be a potato. Oh, no, 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 it's not potato, because you said singing style. I would say, um, I don't know. I sang into a microphone for the first time, and then I listened to it, and I was like, shit, I am actually really bad at singing. And then I just had to keep trying different things. And then that resulted. Do you like ramen? Sure do. Heard of the artists that influenced your style of music? I would say potato. Vinyl for sewing kit potato. Have you been vocally trained or had any vocal experience in the past, or is it something you cultured recently? Interesting word to call. Oh, J-May, how you doing? No singing lessons. I did watch YouTube videos on how to breathe, and then I did not like that. Who is your musical inspiration? I mean, it's one of the greatest bands of all time, the Potatoes. The Potatoes from Britain. I'm John Lennon. I'm in the Potatoes. Oh, what are your thoughts on miracles? I have no idea. I don't think that they're real because. Why don't I think they're real? Because. Okay. Let's say you have a miracle, right? So you're walking down the street and you drop your pen. And someone picks it up, and immediately you just look at them, and they look at you, and it's just like this amazing, beautiful moment. And then you end up falling in love, and you're together forever, or for a long time. And it's like, that had to be a miracle. Why did I drop my pen that day? But at the same time, there are probably thousands of times where you were within a couple feet of someone who you could have had a great relationship with, and you didn't drop your pen or do anything else that would have created that. So all of the coincidences that did happen that were really positive, but you don't know all of the ones that were so close. Or like one little thing, where you were just a step away from your dream job that you now can't have because you didn't even know it existed. So that's what I think about miracles. Where do we go when we die? What is the meaning of life if life is a lie? I don't know. If this is a song lyric and I respond to it as an actual question, I'm going to feel like an idiot. But I am going to do exactly that and hope that it isn't a song lyric. Okay. So where do we go when we die? I think probably nowhere. I think you stop existing. But it is a totally unprovable thing. So whatever you say cannot be proven or disproven. So you could say when we die, we are reincarnated as a potato. You could also say when we die, we are tortured by the devil for a trillion years. Or we go up into heaven and we meet everyone else who died that was good, and we hang out with them. And no matter what, you can make it up and no one can prove you wrong or right. And you can't even provide evidence for it. So you can just throw whatever you want in there. It doesn't matter. Again, I don't plan on dying for a while, so I'm going to worry about it later. What is the meaning of life if life is a lie? I don't know what you mean by life is a lie. I should have asked you. Well, is life a lie? Here's one thing that I think. Oh, wait, I can shake this thing. Okay, sorry. The meaning of life if life... Okay, here's one way that life is a lie. In order to get a piece of truth, you have to have an abundance of information that you cannot possibly have in your head. So I think we're perpetually dealing with partial truths that are skewed based on our own experience and a whole abundance of other things that we can't understand completely. We also only have five senses. They say that we kind of have more in a weird way. But yeah, so that limits how we can even interact. Like if we had echolocation, we would have a whole different sense of what the world is, but we don't have that. And so I guess it's not a lie, but you're dealing with dramatically incomplete equations and still coming to these things that you think are true. Also, a lot of our language is very imprecise. So if someone says, like, I love life, they're talking about their life probably. And then you have your life, so you can't really ever fully be on the same page with someone. But all this stuff, it's like, yeah, this is stuff that you really used to get to me. But now I just don't, I don't know how to describe it. Like, life is a lie, but so what? A lot of things are lies, Like, I'm a lie. Here, this is good. Okay. Say you have some impression of who I am because of the music that you've heard, and I guess maybe because of this video, but it is an incredibly incomplete amount of information compared to who I am fully, because I don't even know who I am fully. I don't have full access to the way that other people think of me, right? So I don't have a complete picture of what exactly I truly am. And so, but that doesn't mean that you and I, the Bicolano, can't have some sort of relationship, Like, you could say it's a lie that, you don't know me, but, like, you do, kind of. Like, if you listen to all those songs and you heard all of those words, like, that was my inner life, and you know all of it. So maybe it's incomplete because you've never met me, but we do know each other. And someone could call that a lie, but, like, it's not really. I mean, it's just like, you just work with what you have. So, I don't know if that makes sense. How do you not get tired from trying to be better? Says Taylor. If you do, how do you become okay with that and not get angry at the condition of life? That you will always be tired. How do you stop wanting to punch God? This one I did reply to and said, tell me a little more about what you mean by tired, and also what God means to you. So, to which I got from Taylor, okay, so it seems like there will be a constant learning of how to cope with yourself and the world around you. It's a lifelong thing of checking in with yourself, with your triggers, all with the intention to be better for yourself and to simply live. And that, at times, is exhausting. And the understanding that being exhausted is a part of living, even if it's for good things. Living is hard work. So that's what I mean by tired. How do you deal with constantly keeping sane and on life's terms? And what I mean by God is just the pre-programmed nature of this, that you were born with a need for hard upkeep. How do you not get mad at that? Do you not just want to freak out on whatever invisible force that did that to you? Or on those pre-programmed cerebral patterns that demand constant work? Does that help? Sure does. I said, yes, that helps hugely. I know exactly what you mean. Do you mind if I ask if you struggle with depression? This sentiment reminds me of things I think when I'm in an episode, and if I know whether or not that's where it's coming from for you, I might be able to say something more useful, to which Taylor replied, since I was 17, I'll be 23 in August, and though it's more so during episodes to where I just give up and giving in, good line, it's just a general understanding and feeling that way all of the time. We're getting into the good stuff here, folks. We are getting into the good stuff. Okay. So anytime mental health is involved, gotta start with a disclaimer that I can offer my own opinions that pertain specifically to my medical realities. I don't know anything about anything else, so I'm going to tell you what this means to me. It doesn't mean that I know what's going to be good for you or anything like that. So I just am, it's highly subjective and not widely applicable. Okay, so let's go step by step on this bad boy. How do you not get tired from trying to be better? I do, a lot. But I do think that you get to a certain point where your moods and your mental stability, you get to a level of peace, right? And then once you're at that level, it doesn't hurt anymore to keep improving. It's not such a bummer all the time to try to be better. So, it's like you're climbing up a mountain, and the place in the mountain where you are now sucks, and it's like weird weather, and there are monsters everywhere, and you can't see, like, you're going up the mountain, and then there's a ring of clouds, and you're just like, I can't keep climbing this mountain. It's not getting any better. Like, I'm exhausted. I can't even see, your future as you see it on this mountain is just a bunch of, terrible stuff. And then there's this ring of clouds. Maybe there's a ring of clouds. Maybe you can't even see that. And so you're like, what's the point? Why would I keep doing this? Why does anyone keep doing this? But that's where I was. And then eventually I got to the ring of clouds, and I poked my head through, and I was like, oh, there's this whole other side where everyone else lives, where you improve because you want to, and your brain is back on your team, because for a while I was fighting against my brain because it was going haywire and trying to, get me to do terrible things. And then we got back on the same team, and then it was like no problem. So like the other day I went for a run. That's technically a self-improvement, but that's just because when I woke up, my brain was like, yo, let's go for a run. I want that for us. And I will give you the motivation that you need in order to do that. But back in the day or during an episode, I would never go for a run. And if I consciously, like me in there would be like, I really want to go for a run right now, my brain would just be like, tough. And then one time I forced us to go for a run, and I didn't get any runner's high or anything. I was just getting slapped, because now I go for a run and I get that boost. And I'm like, yeah, I'm having fun right now. But then I couldn't have fun no matter what I was doing. And so, yeah, it just was exhausting. It didn't make any sense. I remember I had a pretty bad episode in 2019. And I was having basically this exact thought. I was sitting there eating dinner with my roommate on a Friday. And we were just in this restaurant, and I was looking around, and I was like, why are these people, why do they even exist? Like, what is it that they're doing in their life that's so important or meaningful that they are not even thinking about taking their lives? Like, why is the suicide rate so low? It's that overwhelming sense of what's the point, and you can't really get an answer to it. But they're happy and normal, so it just doesn't bother them. And that's the point where I'm at as well, where it's like, you're gonna have to improve yourself for the rest of your life. It's like, okay, yeah, I know, that's fine. I'm not gonna freak out about that. And there is this weird sense that I used to get, and still get sometimes, where if I have to do something repeatedly, like the dishes, right? So you do the dishes, you put them away, they get dirty again, you do the dishes again, you blah blah blah, you go through this thing. So then you go to do the dishes one time, and you're like, why would I do this if I'm just gonna have to do it again in like a couple hours? Because I think I only have like 4 plates, but that doesn't matter. The point is that I think you get to a point, mental health wise, where this stuff just doesn't freak you out, because your brain is back on your side, and it will give you motivation. It's like, I think there's like the self-negotiation thing, where I'm talking to my own brain, and I'm like, okay, obviously you want to sit down and be lazy all day. I would really like to go for a run. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. We can go for a walk. So you're kind of negotiating. But then you get to this point where people, like, you're doing so well, but you're not fighting anymore because your brain is on your side. And that's when it's like, that's when you can just soar. And sometimes people are like having these issues, and they're like, what should I do? I'm depressed and I can't do this thing. So for me, it was school. Like, I failed out of school. And it was just like, just go and fix your health, and then when you come back, your brain's going to be on your team, and you guys can go through school together, and it's not going to like be such a challenge, because this thing that used to be a chain on your ankles is now a set of wings. So, that's what I would say in terms of like getting tired and that sense of like futility. I also have purpose in my life now because I get, I make stuff that people actually like, and I like it too. So that helps a lot. How do you stop wanting to punch God? This is interesting as well. First of all, hey, hold on. Let me see if this thing's gonna die. Come here. No. Oh no, it's not. Not at all. It's been charging. Okay. Okay. Punch God. Here's what I think about this. So, I don't think so. God for you, as you pointed out, is just the way things are. It's not like a being or something. And I'm with you on that, in the sense that there is this sort of, whatever people say, like the universe sent me a sign or the universe did this or that. I don't think any of that exists at all. I think if you have like a great life, then it seems like someone's kind of on your team, and that may be where that is coming from. And then if you have a really crappy life, it seems like someone is actively trying to destroy you, or someone or something. And I've been on both of those things where, whatever. But whenever it seemed like something was actively trying to destroy me, like, it's just like this deep and sincere sense of unfairness that I was like, why? Like, 3% of the population gets this genetic dice roll and they have bipolar disorder. Like, did I really have to be a part of that? Come on, And I think especially whenever it was really, really doing some damage and everyone else in my life seemed to be doing so well. Like, I remember just going on social media and seeing people just so happy, and I was just like, fuck, dude, I'm falling so far behind right now. And it's not fair because I didn't do anything wrong. Like, if I had screwed up, I made a poor decision and then my life was worse because of that, I could deal with that. But I didn't do anything. So it's not fair that I'm just getting totally destroyed right now, so the universe is like doing this. There is no universe. There is nothing. I don't think. I think this is a huge, just a giant accident. There's nothing that is responsible for your suffering. And there's no one to blame, and there's no guilt. So it's like your life sucks and it's not your fault. What are you going to do about it? One instinct that I used to have was to die, which I'm not going to do that. So it looks like I'll have to clean up a mess that no one made, which is weird because there's usually some blame when something goes that wrong. But in this scenario, for me, no one did anything. I didn't do anything. There was no one to blame. There was nothing. There was no thing. And I hated, a lot of people blame like society. So I did that a little bit. I was like, society like makes school like, work really well for neurotypical people and, non-neurodivergent people, and I have this thing, and so I suck at school or whatever. And that does kind of maybe will make you feel better, but I think at the end of the day, you're just going to have to clean up a mess that nobody made. And it's not fair, because fairness, in a large-scale sense, a sense of universal fairness, I think is a total lie. There's nothing out in the cosmos that will ever swoop down and be like, yo, Taylor, you have had a terrible life. Here's $1 million. We're sorry about that screw up. There's nothing. You just do it. And I still feel that sometimes. Like, I'm doing so well sometimes, and I get hit with another episode, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how I did everything I was supposed to. I took my meds at exactly the right time. I've done everything. Like, this is bullshit. This is not fair that I have this thing, And I get that. I totally understand that. I feel it often. But there's just no one to blame. There's nothing. There's like, you want to punch God? God doesn't exist. There's nothing to punch. As long as you aren't punching yourself, But that sense of fairness, it's like, eventually you just swallow it, I think. And maybe you have. But that's where I'm at with it, where I just, like, if someone, it's not like some other forms of like oppression where there is a bad guy, With this thing, especially in a purely genetic way, for me, there's no bad guy. Like, if you were traumatized and you're, responding to that, then there kind of is like a bad person. I shouldn't say bad guy. There's a villain in the story. But for me, it was just pure genetics. It was no one's fault. So, it was just whatever. It was my responsibility. If I wanted to have a better life, I was going to have to participate, weigh in, and make it happen, because, I had help and everything. But at the end of the day, if you don't participate in your own healing process, it's totally hopeless. But so anyway, that's what I think about that. How are you doing now? Bit of a potato, but I'm doing well. I feel a lot less awkward than I did when I started filming this thing, I'll tell you that much. Hogwarts House Potato, what's your MBTI? And I really love your songs. Thank you. I love your question. And it's ENTP, but I was recently in an argument that the conclusion of which was that these things might not be as legitimate as I thought they were. What's your Hogwarts House? No, sorry. That's not that. Will the new songs take long to come out? This question won't let me sleep at night. Yes, they will. Where do you live? Los Angeles, California. What's your story? That one's a little long for a video like this. I think this thing is already going to be so long. I don't even know if anyone's going to watch it to the end, but I'm gunning for it. What's your biggest fear? Failure and humiliation. Is there any music? Yep. Do you believe in love at first sight? I believe in immediately recognizing the potential for love. So you could see someone and be like, something's up, maybe we'll fall in love, but you can't love someone until you've seen some ugliness, I think. Well, I don't know what love or any of that. I don't know. I don't think I'm qualified to tell you that, but that's what I think. Is there someone you look up to? Yeah, a lot of people. I call my favorite musicians my parents, my older brother. I don't know. Yeah. How do you cope when you feel like you're back to zero? I think that, like, as I've been saying, there's zero, there's relative zero, which I go to sometimes, and then there's like super zero that I can only go to when I'm like not medicated, right? And I haven't been back to super zero since I left it that first time. So I think when I actually am, say, like relative zero, I can't really do anything. I just am like kind of useless. But what I've been getting better at doing is noticing, thought patterns that reveal that I might be kind of falling down. So if I live at like a 5 or whatever, and I'm starting to get to like a 3 or a 2, I'm like, okay, something's going on. Like, let's set some things up. So maybe there are people in your life that you will tell and be like, hey, please, stay in contact with me, even if I don't answer or text me back, like, whatever. Try to, if they're around you, say, I'm not going to want to leave the house or the apartment for a while coming up here, so help me out with that, whatever. So taking action at like the 3 and 2, so that by the time I get to 0, I know it's going to be as short as possible. But when I'm actually at 0, I don't really, I'm just, kind of, not like paralyzed, but like sort of just. Also a good thing that I do when I get to 0 is change up my expectations and achievements. So if I'm really at 0, like things that otherwise would be totally unimpressive should try to move into the impressive category. So like, say I know one of my friends is depressed and I'm talking to them and they're like, yeah, I've actually showered 3 times this week. I would be like, yes, dude, like, you're killing it. I am very proud of you. That's awesome. Obviously, if someone normal told me they showered 3 times this week, I wouldn't really care. Or brushing your teeth every day. All these things that would normally be, done without effort when you're depressed become accomplishments. And things that would have been accomplishments normally are probably impossible. Not impossible, but if that makes sense. So I try to take it easy on myself and be like, all right, I'm probably not going to really accomplish anything for this time period, but let's try to just keep things from totally falling apart. Okay. Do you have experience with insomnia? If yes, do you have any advice to help with that? Yeah. I mean, I haven't reliably slept well consistently since I was probably 18. That one I've never been able to crack fully, especially when I get a little hypomanic, but the tips that have worked for me, there are a lot of tips. This is another thing where you kind of just collect tips over time and try them out, see if they work. Obviously, sleep hygiene is huge. If you haven't gone through those protocols, that's the first move. Some like specific things that I do. I have this thing where like I imagine my whole body is the color red, and then I can turn each part of it blue by focusing on that part and breathing, depending on how tired you are, like say 10 times. So you focus on like this top part of your head and you breathe 10 times slowly, and then it turns blue. And then you go this one, you try to turn your whole body blue. And I've never really gotten past like my stomach, so that can be good. Also giving up as well. Like if I've laid there for 25 minutes, I'm probably not going to go to sleep right then, so I'll just kind of get up. Because it's like you have your anxiety and your fatigue. Here's anxiety, here's fatigue. And if your fatigue is greater than anxiety, then you fall asleep. But like as they move, the anxiety kind of overtakes it, and then you're way more anxious than you are tired. And that's what happens to me, and I'm not going to fall asleep at that point. So I just give up. I get up for a little bit and come back. I don't just stay up all night. I've also been playing myself in chess recently, which only works if you're bad at chess. Because I only think one move ahead at a time, which means I'm bad. But it's also funny too, because I'll make a move and then turn the board around, and I'm like, dude, you just left your queen open, like you're such an idiot. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of comedic value to playing yourself in chess, but that's what I've been doing. Just no screens, definitely. Screens are the enemy. Just find little things that you can do that don't involve screens. And I also have, like, a lot of my insomnia comes from bad thoughts as well, and that's a different thing than, like, regular insomnia. It's, like, painful insomnia. So those are different. If it's just regular insomnia and I just can't sleep, like, I'm fine with that. I can do that. That's no problem. But if it's, like, having bad thoughts and can't sleep, I don't know. That's bad news. What's your favorite lyric from your songs? Makes no one cry. What's your process to writing music? Potato. What do you think comes after death? That's a potato. Wow. How do you become so beautiful? I don't know. But thank you. You listen to the Smiths? I don't. Any tips to write and produce music? Just keep doing it. It's fine if you're bad. Just get on YouTube. You can watch some producers produce a song start to finish. That can be good. But just stay curious. Do you write the songs depending on your feelings? Absolutely. Are you an industry plant? Definitely not. When you get famous, which you will, I might. Who would you want to make a collaboration with? Potato. Your Spotify description mentioned that you had a girlfriend that stuck by you throughout the entirety of your time going through everything. The Spotify description has changed since. Tell us about your girlfriend and her role in your life during that time. Also, I love all your music, and it has gotten me through so much. Thank you for that. Bill Nye the Angry Fly. That's the same thing. I think the songs will tell you as much as I would be willing to tell you about my girlfriend, that person. You know, I don't want to I don't want to move that outside of the art, if that makes sense. I really love you and your music, Roland. Can you sing Happy Life with me? I don't know how we would set that up. Maybe. You watch anime? Potato. What age did you learn to play piano? Potato. Producing music? Potato. Do you have foundation at a young age? I don't know about that. No, I don't think I had a foundation. I've just started to learn music production at 17, and I can't play a single instrument. And it just feels hard not to think that it's going to take a long time to master, and how I'm already quite old. All the thoughts, whether you will succeed or not. I will tell you, I know at least have met or know of probably 5 or 6 producers that I've met since moving to Los Angeles who are incredibly successful, and they didn't start until they were like 25 or 26. Oh, it's a similar story where they go off and they get like a normal job after school, and then they hate it and they kind of don't know what to do with their life, and then they get into music, and then they come out here and are successful. So the age thing, especially for production, doesn't matter at all. I mean, you know, if it matters to you, it matters, but no one else would ever judge you for that. can't play a single instrument. That is something to work on, but you can do that. It's hard not to think it's going to take a long time to master. That's the thing, though, is that you never master it. No one is a master. I mean, maybe if you're like in your 60s, but you just have to be good enough to make something that isn't bad, and then keep going off of that. Everybody is just where they are, and they're getting better, and you'll get to a certain point where you feel like you'll be ready to release something or do it, and you just do it, and then if nothing happens, you just keep going. And that's the same thing, like, take your eye off the prize. You don't need to worry about what's going to be going on past the stage that you're at. So right now, you can't play an instrument. So break it down to one small goal. Get to a point where you're okay at playing an instrument. You're not terrible at it. That's all you have to worry about. You just do the baby steps, tiny little baby steps. Lucas Johnson, first off, I just want to say I love your music. Thank you. What's your favorite color? It's going to be that font green that we made up earlier. What do you like reading? I hate reading, but I've been reading this thing called The Essential Feminist Reader, which is like a collection of essays, because I felt like a lot of the feminist content I was getting was like from people online just kind of saying random stuff, and it was super disconnected, and some of it I don't know how to describe it. It was like I just wanted to go and see kind of like the root text of this movement rather than like some random person on Tumblr, Not that there's anything wrong with random people on Tumblr, but, it's like you meet a bunch of Christians and you think you understand what Christianity is, but like you kind of have to read the Bible to really know. So that's kind of what I was thinking, but normally, yeah, I don't like reading. I audiobook usually. What's your music setup like? Mic and production equipment, the works. When I was making Sewing Kid, I had a Scarlett 2i4 and a Spark baby bottle, and then a Korg SV1, and I have a Martin acoustic that I use, and I use Logic for the DAW. I think that's everything. What's your favorite song right now? Probably that Brandy song. What is it called? Brandy, You're a Fine Girl. It's just fun. It's a fun old thing. Wait, what is this thing? Okay, so that's all the Instagram questions. Now we're moving over to YouTube. As I said, we got a lot of stuff here. Okay, where are you? The final countdown. I think there are only 45 questions over on this one. Shiitake, oh, here it is. Oh, my knees. My old knees are hurting. Okay, we got 45 comments here. Let's do this. How's quarantine? A lot of potatoes, I think. How's quarantine been for you? Potato, favorite musician, patat. Why are your songs so flawless? Because I put a ridiculous amount of time into them, and also have a little bit of comorbid OCD, which tortures me, but it makes the music as perfect as I could make it. What's your favorite food? Rice. How did you get into making music? Patats. How do you feel about the color yellow? I like it. By the way, Happy Life is in my top 5 all-time favorite songs. Thank you. I'm very happy to hear that. Carnome says, there's a certain flow and smooth cadence to the lyrics of your music, and yet the piano keeps up quite comfortably. Considering this, when you are writing a song, do you find the words and tune of the lyrics to come to you first, or does the progression of the piano come to you first? Also, when do you think you might release new music? Regardless, I'm a big fan of your stuff, and I look forward to hearing more. P.S. Happy Life is my personal favorite. Thank you very much for listening and sharing that with me. But I would say that the music comes first. Usually a music and a single lyric. That's the door. Hi, sorry this isn't really a question, but I just wanted to genuinely thank you for creating such beautiful songs. Thank you for commenting that. I don't think you'll ever understand how much you've helped me through a lot of things. When I had no one, I still had your music. This is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, that's so legit. That makes me feel just like so especially writing songs. Like when I wrote that stuff, I felt so alone. Like I didn't know anyone who was going through something like that I could know where I put it out. And these people, this guy named Keith. Keith, wherever you are, like I like you and I feel like I know you. And that is really special. What is the creative process? Patots. Does inspiration come in short, intense bursts? Yes, definitely. Also, what comes first, lyrics or music? Music. How old are you? 23. As Potato. How do you put music and lyrics together so seamlessly? Like, what's your writing process? Start with the music, get a leading melody, put lyrics to that, and then you're off. What artists inspire you the most? And do you feel like any songs or albums had an influence on you? Whole Radiohead catalog, except for King of Limbs and the Bends. And Pablo Honey. Not really any questions, just a little something from me. Thank you, Ivy. I discovered your music on a lonely day when my mind and heart needed it the most. Your creativity is timeless. Thank you, Ivy. That is a very beautiful thing to say. Your Spotify description mentioned that you had a girlfriend. Wait, didn't we? That stuck by you throughout the entirety of your time going through everything. The Spotify description has changed since. Yeah, tell us about your girlfriend and her role in your life during that time. Also, I love your music and it's got me through so much. I don't know if this is the same as the other one, but her role was basically just someone who was there with me physically for a lot and just was a good listener. Because sometimes, like, you want to talk about your emotions, but you don't necessarily. Some people you tell them what you're going through and they start giving you advice. I think especially with depression, the advice you get is so bad, especially because people who don't know what you're going through are like, kind of like, oh, when I get sad, I go for a run. Like, I didn't say I was sad. I'm not sad. I'm in a depressive episode. It's totally different. It's barely even related. So sometimes you just gotta talk. And she was a great listener. And also just having someone there physically it's just a whole different ballgame. What instruments? Potato. Any plans for future albums? Patots. I've heard Sewing Kit so many times, and I feel like you kind of ruined other music for me. That was the plan all along. Monopolize. No, yeah, there will be a lot of future albums. I have a couple albums already written, but it's a matter of what comes when. What do you do to overcome roadblocks in creating music, like brain blocks and lack of inspiration? P.S. I love you so much, and your music is amazing. Thank you. I love you too, and when I hit a roadblock, I go do something else. Has being famous ever been your goal in life? Sort of. Did you start making music because you dreamt of fame or because you enjoy it? Totally because I enjoy it. Like a tiny little bit of fame. Just for fun when I was playing music sometimes, but almost entirely because I enjoy it. I just want to say your music is art and you're a cool dude. Don't show my name, please. Okay. Thank you. I think you're very cool as well. What's your favorite breed of dog? Labs, Golden Labs. You have a Snapchat? I do not, and I love you. Thank you. I love you. Do you? Are you feeling okay, man? Like, sincerely, how are you doing in life? I'm doing pretty well. I've literally just discovered your album, but I feel like it's going to be a really important one for me. So thank you for doing music. I'm doing well, and I appreciate those kind words, and I hope it does play a good role in your life. The cover of Sewing Kit, is that Potato? What's your favorite game? Basketball. What artists inspire your music? Potato. What's your favorite movie? Is Inside Out. No. Yep. Will you be dropping new merch? Yes. How did you become such a god? How did I become such a god? I don't know. I'm not a god. I don't know. If I answer this question in a positive way, then that means I think I'm a god, which is so arrogant that I might as well just quit. So, I don't know. Thank you for thinking of me that way. That's all I'll say. How long have you wanted to be a musician? What's your songwriting process like? Double Potato. Never mind. Thank you for your question, though. What do you do to stay sane in quarantine? I go skateboarding. Which place are you phone calls. A lot of phone calls. Calling old friends, random people I haven't talked to in a long time. Which place are you missing the most during this time? My house, because my whole family is there except for me. What other music do you enjoy? What makes you love someone? I do not know. But when it's real, you know. It's like what makes food taste good. I don't know, but you know when it does. Thoughts on Matt Maltese? I don't know that person. Did your song lyrics based on your background story or for someone else? All me. Favorite time of the year, spring. Time of the day, 12:34, because 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty magic. Just scream really loud, please and thanks. Can't do that. What's your writing process like? It's a potato. What's your favorite lyric that you've ever written? Potato. I'm working on a painting of you, and I'd like to show it to you, but I can't use very much social media because my mom has blocked apps on my phone. Is there possibly a way I could get a photo of it to you? I think I gave you my email. Oh, don't do this. Okay. How'd you get into music, Batats? What's your favorite video game? Firewatch? I've never had a gaming console, though. I was thinking about getting one for quarantine and getting, like, the headphones and everything, you know? I thought that might be fun. How do you pronounce your name? Font was the hardest song to complete. Potato, but it's levers. Who are you? JK, LOL. Who am I? Who are you? Johnny Davies. Story behind levers. Same thing. Song can tell you more about it than I could. That's just some pure emotion. Are you okay? Yes. If you take random notes, as most writers do, what's your preference? Do you have a journal and a favorite pen, or do you love the modernization of taking notes on the phone? I'm all on the phone. I love it. I think it's so simple. I always have it, and if I drop my phone, I have my notes on my computer. If I drop my notepad, I'm donezo. What do you do for fun? Recently, skateboarding. Do you think you're a cynical person? I am a very cynical person, but I'm not upset about it. So I can think cynical thoughts, like whatever, life is meaningless, or most people are bad people, or whatever, but it doesn't bother me. Because you can do whatever you want with the truth. Your emotions are more in charge than you think. Or they're more in charge of me than I think, so. Anyway. What's your favorite place to go? My house. What's your diet like? It's been pretty good. What's your favorite season? Oh, that's an interesting potato, but it's spring. Okay, thank you for those questions. We are on the final lap, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binaries. Here we are diving into Twitter. And I think let's see what we got. Is this a message? No, here we go. We are so close. How long is this thing? Oh, 1 hour and 47. No way anyone is going through this. All right. Shiitake mushrooms. What inspires you to write music? My own life. I love your songs. Your voice and words are amazing. Your music is also amazing. Thank you. Especially I Can Never Leave Lake. I have to listen again and again. Do you have any new singles or albums in the future? Yes, please give me more food for my ears. I am chefing every day, and I will deliver this food to you. Are you interested in every stage of your music, or is there anyone who helps you? Sewing Kit, I just got help with the mixing and mastering. Do you think you and or your music are a product of where you grew up? Yeah, absolutely. In unknowable ways, but has to be. I really love you, Roland. Woo! Can you sing Happy Life with me? Yeah, if you said it, I don't know how you'd set that up. And please don't stop making music. Is there any way we could sing Happy Life together? I don't know. Do you mean like we get on a live and sing it at the same time? It's totally doable, but all right. I did it. That's a Q&A. That's a wrap, folks. Cut. Oh, my Lanta. This thing is long. I really don't think anyone's going to make it all the way through. If you do, comment the word rose so that I know. Just for my own thing. I could be making this video right now and no one will ever even look at it because this video is so damn long. It's okay though. I answered all the questions. I didn't know I was gonna get that many. But okay, my friends. If any of you got all the way through this, you probably know me pretty well then. So, all right. Good luck. I'll see you.